Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Spark, Shift, Succeed session with Unique Speaker Bureau International. I'm your host, Melissa Sodete, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to our next session titled Decision Skills for Impactful Collaboration with Agenetic AI. In a world where machines are becoming colleagues, not just tools, how do we lead with impact? This morning, joining us is incredible Professor Jefferson Chen as we explore the future of collaboration and uncover the skills that will take your leadership to the next level in this new era of human AI collaboration. Before I do a quick introduction, a kind reminder to keep your mics on mute, and the chat function is available for your comments and your questions, which we will address at the end of the session. Professor Jefferson Chen blends real-world wisdom with academic depth. With 2 PhDs, 2 master's degrees, and extensive experience, he teaches and consults on innovation, leadership, and performance. As a faculty member at Gibbs, University of Pretoria, he mentors future consultants and coaches senior executives. A sought-after keynote speaker and author, Professor Jefferson is passionate about helping people and organizations thrive in challenging situations. Professor, it's so great to have you with us here today. Over to you.
Mel, sidebar. This is the first time I hear you speak. I think you should start how to speak professionally, magnificently as a
Thank
side
you.
gig. I'm sure you're going to give many of those trainers a run for their money. Beautiful,
Thank you so
beautiful.
much.
Colleagues, good morning. Thank you very much for showing up. I don't generally like to start a presentation with an apology. However, this one, I think I must provide you with apology first before I start. I have a tendency to be too enthusiastic about my topic. So at times I might be just dashing, flashing through, talks too fast. And also I have only given 20 minutes. And actually I extract one of my master class for senior exec for this talk. So if I speak way too fast, please get hold of my contact detail. And I absolutely love to do a cup of coffee with you guys. And that's how I learn, how I spot, how I do intellectual sparring with people like-minded and smart people. Great. Let me hide the floating ball quickly. All right. As an MBA lecturer, generally when I lecture, when I give a speech, I'm allowed to hold my audience accountable by asking questions. But today will be slightly different. I'll be doing most of the talking and do a Q&A later. So I work for the Golden Institute of Business Science. Without sounding I'm bragging, I'm just extremely proud of leaders. We are featured in the top 50 corporate education based on the Financial Times, which is they rank about 15,000 business school around there. So our football team might not be able to beat Barcelona, but our business school is internationally very good. And on the side, I do consulting just to keep myself sharp and coaching. And this is my contact detail. Absolutely would love to have a cup of coffee with you, learn from you, and so forth. All right, let's kick start. Many moons ago, I had a student in my class. They come from this beautiful place called the USA Military Academy, short as West Point. So at that time, I was very excited about improvisation and intuition. So I asked the student to link me up with one of the instructors, one of the lecturers. And we didn't have a face-to-face conversation or online, but we exchanged email briefly. And this lady is just absolutely amazing. Besides obtaining PhD from Harvard, she's a helicopter jet fighter, helicopter pilot, and accolade this long. So when I asked her, how do you guys teach improvisation and intuition, especially improvisation? What do you do there? And to my surprise, she said, yeah, we teach a little bit, but not a lot. I said, okay, then when things comes, what happened? How do you teach people to be agile and all that? And subsequently, with her input, I suddenly realized that, especially in the last few years, when the agentic AI comes into mainstream, I realized that the way we've been teaching leaders how to think have room for improvement. She mentioned that we don't generally teach improvisation first. We teach you what are the dominant situations, what are the possible situations you can encounter in urban warfare, in this warfare, and the consequences of situation. If you make one mistake here, one mistake there, one mistake there. They draw in such a way that in different challenging situations, the officers know how to respond, how to make decisions. And that's what leaders should be like. We should stop talking about transactional, transformational leadership. We should actually go down, pinpoint, how do we think, how do we feel, how do we act to respond to the situation. But let me park that a little bit. I'll come back to this just now. But ultimately, human beings, we collaborate with things, from the different type of things, to gain lots of rewards and to reduce the cost. And whatever situation comes, we select the right things to bring about impact. That's where our reward. And of course, we're trying to minimize the effort and the penalties. So nothing has changed much since the caveman days. In the caveman days, one of our things, the innovation we had, is called sticks. We love sticks. Sticks help us to hunt. Sticks help us to later on make fire, so forth and so forth, and build houses. But the difference about stick is we do most, in order to reach a reward, we have to go to the stick quite a bit. We have to decide the right stick, check the stick out, and then apply the stick in different contexts. Most of the thinking is done by us. The hard work we do. On top of that, even though the effort is low, but there's a range of penalties. If you don't choose the right stick when you go and hunt for prey, it might backfire. But you got the zest of it. This is what I'm trying to land it with you guys. So in the situation response, okay, let's give another example. When computer start becoming more and more effective, and believe it or not, my first PhD is on computational chemistry. I use supercomputer to analyze drugs interaction. I don't know how I end up in a business school, but anyway, I'm loving every moment of it. So the reward, still, the user has to learn a lot to go to the computer. The coding, which I was never good at, the theory behind it, understand the permutation of theory, possibility, giving some rules, and help computer to think. And for that, once you've done your job well, bang, the reward is much bigger. However, the effort is high, and if you do something wrong, the penalty can also be high. Then we come to this era called agentic AI. And I'm sorry if I meant explaining a little bit. I'm pretty sure that most people know what agentic AI is about. But if not, this is what I think about agentic AI. You're the superhero, like Batman or Batwoman, and Alfred, your butler, is behind you. When I was younger, I always wondered, how does butler do everything? From cleaning the house, making the coffee, motivating Bruce Wayne, making sure he's stitch out all the worms and bruises, while fixing Batmobiles and develop new laser guns and all that. But we are in that era now. That's called agentic AI. Agentic AI is some form of artificial intelligence systems that can act autonomously towards a goal. In fact, it will even challenge you with a goal. It will think collectively with you about that goal and then collectively make decision with you, initiate action. For instance, Kim, you want to book a holiday for family to Turkey, hypothetically. your Alfred already know how many people in your company, in your family, and what you like to do, what did you like to do, and not you ask you questions. And later on, once you have decided, you will go and make the booking for you, and so forth and so forth. This is not science fiction. This is reality 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now with ChatGPT, about a week and a half ago, they launched a new system that you can literally drag and place different subroutines to create your own agentic AI. So now, game's changing. How we play, how we think should be upgraded or should be augmented, in my humble opinion. But long and short of it, I don't want to go into the scientific part and computer geeky part about the agentic AI. Well, next time when people ask you about agentic AI, just think about you're the superhero and you have that super duper butler, motivator, coach, multiple roles, the digital supporter, that's what I call behind you. But hey, give you an example just now. Oh, by the way, so what is agentic AI in this context of situation response effectiveness? Oh, well, our effort in towards agentic AI is quite little. Agentic AI actually come to you to create a reward, to create a benefit. But of course, you need to train a little bit. And if we learn how to think differently, how to ask different questions, how to prompt it better, the impact is enormous. Of course, if I have a whole day lecture, and this is part of my master class towards for a couple of executives now, we dig deeper into what is the right effort that you should think about. But then at the same time, what is the range of penalties from ethics, from something I'm about to introduce? I like making up new words because English is not my first language. And just makes things fun, exciting. I like to make new words. So later on, I'll show you just now. What's this thing called AI-fication? Buzzword, I'll explain just now. Do you know these three people? Maybe I just interact with the audience a little bit. I can see Mercy in front of me. Mercy, do you know who that is? This Asian guy. I hope so. That's me. Excellent. And you probably don't know who this gentleman is. His name is Tim Mitchell. He once upon a time he was voted as top 40 or top 50 most likely achiever in South Africa under the age of 30. I love him a lot. I dislike him too because he's so fantastic, smart, and good. Good personality. He is part of a consulting group now, but at the age of 26, he was actually the chief of staff of Deloitte Digital. So he knows his stuff. For anybody who wants to hire consultant or speaker about user experience, he's your guy. Of course, I will ask him for 10% referral fee. But who's the person in the middle? Anybody? Well, if you don't know that person, I think you should get to know the person. His name is Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT. Three of us have a great conversation about AI-fication. All right. Take a step back. In the name of honesty, Sam wasn't actually there. We use AI to create this picture. Not only that, we use agentic AI to ask the AI to gather everything that Sam has publicized, dissecting how Sam is going to think, Sam's message, Sam's thinking, and then we pretend we have a conversation with Sam in a live matter. And then subsequently, we write articles. We call it shooting the breeze with. And so far, we have write 5 articles about this with different people, pretend that we are having a conversation with it. But then Sam, the virtual Sam, was talking to us. We haven't published it yet because we suddenly realized people don't read long articles anymore, but we enjoy the process. And the question I asked about Sam is this thing called AI-fication. What does AI-fication really mean? Long and short of it is bifurcation means we have 2 separate hums. Multiplication is we have multiple different things, different disparities. And in AI, and especially agentic AI, the AIification is going to come in with attitude split, with structural split, with a cultural split, with a data split, with governance split in an organization already. And there are some lots of uncomfortable questions. We chat with Sam, and we come up with these questions, and then some of the possible tactics, so forth and so forth. But I don't want to, this talk is not about this article. It's about, hey, at this very moment, very quickly, within less than 5 minutes, I can have Sam Altman as if he was sitting right here with Tim and I having a great conversation. And maybe just one last slide. Maybe the provocation question is, will your company allow AIification to fracture its people using agentic AI to help every Lerato to find energy, focus, joy, and performance and growth? Right up front, when we talk about Lerato, was an employee in the organization, and Lerato was actually loving her boss. The boss was really empathetic, understand where she's going, give the right amount of work, motivate her to do better. Except the difference is the boss was not a human being. The boss was an agentic AI. So that is not fake. That is not science fiction. That's right now already in some part of the world. So what do? Come back to the situation response with agentic AI. Suddenly, we can do multiple things. For example, agentic AI, I haven't built mine yet. It can start helping to operate and govern my life and help me to reflect. Probably wellness is so important. You will be able to link to my various device as long as I give it time to input or take a snapshot of my grocery that I bought and send it to them and link to my pulse maker and so forth. It can start and my medical record, it can start nudging me, telling me how do I adapt to my awareness. It can be my learning orchestrator, which I just showed you. One day I want to talk to Sam. Sam's right here. Next day I want to talk to Confucius or Genghis Khan or Napoleon. It will be right there. Next thing is it can really monitor my relationship if I wanted to. If I let it tap into all my WhatsApp conversation and email, it will start nudge me and Chen tell me your tone is too hard here. Your thinking is too way out. And as much as people say AI do not have creativity, and you should ask them next time, what does creativity really mean? And when people tell you that feeling, what does a feeling really mean? When you dig down deeper, various aspects of human beings we can mimic. We might not be true creativity, but it will be able to generate something novel and unique. And with our monitoring, we will be able to guide it into the right space. So this is for everyday situation in terms of respond to a situation more effectively. This is just some of them. What happened? The question is, what happened to our own internal AIification? Over reliances. By the way, Mercy, when you type ChatGPT, do you say please? Actually, Sam Altman tell you don't use please because that costs lots of electricity. However, Sam also tell you that if you stop using the word please, would you and all that is so used to interact with AI, how does that affect our mannerism when we interact with human beings? So our own internal AIification, we need to discuss that properly. Are we too resistant? Are we too reliances? How much does it affect us positively? How much does it cost us? Next thing, let's talk about consumer then, customers. It's always, when it comes to business, it's always about customer. And let's talk about for customer to the various financial firms. Customer will be informed. Along with being informed, it will come with biases. Some biases is good, we call it self-efficacy. Some bias is bad, we call it whatever ism. But there's another bias. Once AI is doing the decisioning for you, you will not say to AI, buy a Duracell battery. Your AI will tell you you need battery now, and it will go out and do the thinking for you and purchasing for you. How do you market to AI? That's another question, right? And then you become hyper proactive companions. You will be frictionless into multiple ecosystems from understand my addiction on Temu and and shopping all the way to my other work allocation of times. So it will multiple link to multiple ecosystem providers. However, customer now wants instant gratification. I ask AI agentic things to do it for me. Not only that, I will stop thinking so hard and then it will do a great job. So not only I will suffer from cognitive ease on top of my biases self, I would expect certain quality at certain time may not be so realistic for the company. Then how do you manage that? Then this is just a financial sector. Because of the way we behave, we instruct AI, we will leave a digital footprint. How do we check out of privacy? How is our identity fluidity, especially in the absence of AI? What do we do? So what's our customer's AIification? Then when it comes to company, in this case, just keep the golden thread, the financial firms. We leaders, employee will move more from task executor to work with agentic AI as a judgment partner. If those people who are not curious, who doesn't know how to say no, who doesn't know how to push back or prompt further, agentic AI might not be the best way to do. From data analysts to insight orchestrators, you will ask in multiple fronts, you will work with your agentic AI, so you start synthesize the right insight and orchestrate it to create more impact. Then we need to instead enforce, we need to making sure that AI's ethical use in the company and us do not leverage our customers' information for our greed, for our own benefit. So also AI collaboration. How do we do that internally? And apart from the AI part, how do we train worker from just working there into a human-centered connectors? Because there are times when things become more rare, it becomes more precious. How do we increase the connection, engagement, mental intimacy, emotional understanding between employees and the key stakeholders, maybe internal or external? So AIification within the workforce, that's quite a big thing. Well, for example, which I talk about, if now having human bosses to report to agentic AI, then that's a profound, simple question. Because if junior people take instruction from middle manager with the AI, what type of training do you migrate junior people to the senior people? That's just one facet of organization. Just open up a completely different way of thinking, from job loss to job role, segregation, so forth and so forth. So as I gradually closing this quick interaction, I think there are three things, leadership development philosophy. There may be many, but I think these are the three things we need to emphasize, of course, all under the umbrella of situation response effectiveness. Apologies for my typo. Firstly, we need to understand what brilliance is contextually. For example, Brian and Shay doesn't like working alone. They didn't like each other, hypothetically. You look like wonderful gentlemen, especially Brian smile a lot. So Brian when you go into a meeting with Shay, he needs to start thinking, what does great look like for that particular situation? Is great to win Shay over? Probably not going to happen. Is great not to fight? Probably better. Is great to find some way to collaborate? Whatever it is, the brilliance for that context, we stop thinking about that. I lecture MBA students, master students. I consult and coach senior executive. We often emphasize the doing more than deciding what great looks like for that particular context. So once you work in collaboration with agentic AI, knowing what great looks like in that context, by harvesting all the right information, by asking right question, asking agentic AI to critique you, then we can define what brilliance look like, and then all the strategy, tactic along the way becomes more effective. That's the ultimate foundation of agility. People say agile is changing. No. First, you need to know what brilliance look like, way to change, how far to change. Because without understanding the contextual brilliance, you just ready, fire, aim. That's not going to work well. And those individuals who's got agentic AI understand contextual brilliance will be able to define the right scope, right direction, and work backwards much better. Number two, we should stop thinking linearly. We should thinking abductively. If I have this, what can I do with it? Once I have this, what more can I do? But then what are the risks? What are the efforts? We need to think in a multiple dimension, multifaceted. Human beings are not trained for that. And believe it or not, ladies and gents, let you a secret. I ended up in South Africa because I was almost a primary school dropout. My teacher told my parents that Eugene's a polite boy, but if he can be a janitor, hold his job, you do well. And I was present when my teacher told my father, my late father, that. So my parents are my biggest hero. Without them, I won't be here from a primary school, almost a primary school dropout, coaching C-suite officers. Because back in the day, I don't think linearly. I don't wait for a question to answer. I like to find out what's going on. If you ask this question, can we ask better this way? Can we think about that way? In a very abductive manner, non-linear. But all our schoolings, including tertiary education, are trained to think linearly. How do we understand abductive? First, find out the contextual brilliance. And based on brilliances, we need this factor, we need this information, we need so forth and so forth. And we start thinking, if this happened, that also exists, what should we ask? If this happened, that also happened, how should we respond? So come back to the situation response effectiveness style. But you can't have a linear thinker in this agentic AI era. And then because of that, you need to start going out, create possibility through reflection, through experiment, through action, and through connecting the dot. And sometimes dots are AI, sometimes dots are human, sometimes dots are the trend. But if you ask me to design a which I have, sorry, when I design a senior executive or a senior or middle manager, mostly senior, because in junior level, sometimes some of them still cannot think so agilely, but I've been surprised before. But if you ask me, the three philosophies, three key principles I will infuse under the umbrella of situation response effectiveness leadership training. Here are the three key things. But perhaps as I close this, then all this notch into new questions. What type of scaffolds leaders should be creating for all levels and all type of leaders? And that will be a great debate, especially when you and I meet for coffee in the near future. So I think I've used up all my 20 minutes, a little bit more than that, apologies. And this is my contact detail. Absolutely would love to link up with you. Absolutely would love to learn from you, do a cup of coffee virtually or in person. Thank you for your attention. I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much, Professor Jefferson, for sharing your expertise. For the sake of time, I'll read only one question from Brian that you can answer for us, Prof. What are the ethical risks associated with deploying agentic AI, and what strategies would you recommend to effectively mitigate these risks?
Sure, Brian, that's a half-day lecture in my digital transformation. So can we just sit aside? I can't, there's risk from almost everywhere. But maybe, yeah. So maybe I should ask you, maybe I should just make it, this is my general statement. Everything has risk. Your stove has risk. Driving a car has risk. Every single part has risk. But as long as we operate from situational response effectiveness, thinking that all risk can be solved and anticipate upfront, then we can solve it back. And one of the biggest risks for South Africa, whether some people tell you all these fancy terms, job loss will be real. And we can't reprioritize job easily. I don't know what's your profession, Brian. If you are a chartered accountant, I say, that can be replaced by AI now. Let's go into HR, because then you're the same human being. You would tell me, Jeff, just kill me now, rather let me regroup, right? So this is a long conversation, but ultimately my message here is risk is real, but depends on the attitude you approach this question. Mel, thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. As we conclude today's Spark, Shift and Succeed session, remember the future of leadership is not only about managing tasks, but mastering mindsets. In the wise words of Professor Jefferson, you are the Batman. Thank you to Unique Speaker Bureau International,
No.
Professor Jefferson, and our partners
so
for
much.
making this session possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Mel